of your tricks. I'm tired of your deceit. I am so tired of your liberal church in America. I'm tired of your witchcraft. This is not an accident. We've swallowed this now for 30 years. And now you depict Jesus as a woman. I'm not going to accept that. I'm a Roman Catholic. I believe in God as Father, creator of heaven and earth. I believe that Jesus is his Son, his only Son. I believe that he died and he suffered and he rose. Your catechisms are so watered down, they say nothing except love your neighbor. No, you gotta love God first. You gotta live with God in your heart. You can't give what you don't possess. I don't like your church. You have nothing to offer. You do nothing but destroy. And so you plant this mime, a woman is Jesus. You dare do that. We're not going to go for all those crazy things that you're pushing out as new and cultural and American. They're not American. America was built on God. America was built on trust in God. And you've made it pagan because you have no spirituality that attracts. Your whole purpose is to destroy. I am proud to be a Roman Catholic. And I will say mankind instead of humankind. You've been strong too long. I, for one, have a right to be a Roman Catholic without your persecution. And you dare to depict Jesus as a woman. Try it with Martin Luther King. Put a white woman in his place and see what happens. Try it with Moses or Muhammad. No, we're the only ones that can be bashed to the ground and we say nothing. My community and I proclaim to you, to this nation, we are Roman Catholic. We have hidden under bushels too long. We have taken everything and we have been obedient to what?
Going to do what I usually do and really pick on the Masons tonight. I'm just simply going to read from two books of theirs, and I'm going to let the Masons draw their own conclusion. That which we must say to the crowd is, we worship a God, but it is a God that one adores without superstition. To you, sovereign, grand, inspectors general, we say this, that you may repeat it to the brethren of the 32nd, 31st, and 30th degree. The Masonic religion should be by all of us initiates of the high degree, maintained in the purity of the Luciferian doctrine. If Lucifer were not God, would Abaddon, now before I go on, I want to say Abaddon is found in Revelations for you students of Revelation as the keeper of the pit, the demon over all the rest of the demons. Would Abaddon, the God of the Christians, whose deeds prove his cruelty, profanity, and hatred of men, barbarism, and repulsion for science, would Abaddon and his priests culminate him? Yes, Lucifer is God. Thus the doctrine of Satanism is a heresy, and the true and pure philosophical religion is the belief in Lucifer, the equal of Abaddon, Jesus Christ. But Lucifer, God of light and God of good, is struggling for humanity against Abaddon, the God of darkness and evil. They're calling Jesus Abaddon. They're calling Lucifer everything we believe of Jesus, and Jesus everything we believe of the devil. And that's in one of their own books.
Who, what, how is Leviathan?
Well, Leviathan is this amazing sea serpent, and it's the greatest creature that God ever created, right alongside to Behemoth. The book of Job talks about Leviathan and Behemoth, and the descriptions are really awesome. Basically, what this is a dragon that lived in the sea. This thing lived in the deep, and it was a terror anytime that it came up and got around men. However, it's more than just that, because the scriptures use Leviathan a few times to describe something else, and that something else is this angelic entity that is high above everything else. So at the end of this description of this earthly creature, and it makes it very clear that it is an earthly creature in the book of Job, it says, he sees everything that is on high, he is the foremost among the sons of pride. And so it really throws you for a loop when you're reading that description, because you think you're reading about this animal, and then all of a sudden you're reading something that sounds like it's about Satan. Because the sons of pride, or the sons of rebellion, are the fallen angels. So we know immediately from that there's something interesting going on with this creature. And then we go to Isaiah 27:1, which is an eschatological verse talking about what's happening in the end times. And that verse says that in the day of the Lord, with his great and strong sword, God is going to punish that serpent, that crooked Leviathan, and he's going to slay that dragon that is in the sea. So he's using an earthly creature to talk about a heavenly creature, and I believe that that is Satan. Many times depicted as a serpent in different scriptures, but also in the ancient world. Zeus, king of the gods in Greco-Roman pantheon, depicted as a serpent in many places, many statues throughout the world.
Wow. So how does this relate then to the battle of good and evil? I mean, how does this play out in our world today?
Revelation says that beast comes up out of the abyss in the end times, and he is the last king of the world. So he was the first king of Babylon, and he'll be the last king of Babylon. The religions, I call them occult religions, but they're mystery religions and they're mystery fraternities throughout history. They know that this king has been put away and that he's going to return. Let me give you an example of that. So the Freemasons, when they initiate someone to become a Master Mason, they talk to him as if the great architect of the universe, or what they call God, is speaking to the Master Mason. And this is what this God says. This is a quote. "Seek ye the grave of Hiram, who has carried my will with him to the tomb. This eternal quest is yours, until you have found your builder. No more shall I speak, until ye have found and raised my beloved Son. And you have listened to the words of my messenger, and with him as your guide have finished the temple, which I shall then inhabit. Amen." End quote. They understand that there's this very important character that has gone to the grave. He's gone to Sheol, just like Ezekiel 31 tells us. But that they need to bring him back. And this is not just the Freemasons. It goes to all the secret societies. They try to get there in different ways, but they're all sort of aiming for the same goal. So they have two goals. One, to bring us to a utopia, at least a utopia for the elites. And then number two, to bring back the world dictator who is supposedly enlightened. You know, Satan's not going into this thing without a plan. He's the first creature ever created, you know, the first thing that Yeshua ever made before even the rest of the universe and the rest of the angels. So we can't underestimate how absolutely capable he is in terms of strategy. In the book I talk a lot about the occult and the mystery religions and the mystery schools throughout history, and what their agenda is and what they have been doing, mostly behind the scenes, to affect human history and to blind us all to what's going on. the scripture actually names him as Asher. And it blew my mind when I realized that, in fact, the Bible is talking about Asher, and it's the name of the Antichrist. So let me talk a little bit about who he was, and I think he was actually Nimrod, and he goes into Egypt and becomes the first king of Egypt and unites that land. There were many tribes there at that time, and he brings them all together. Interestingly, the name Osiris is actually the same as Asher, because in the Egyptian it's Asur. Only the Greeks changed it to Osiris. And there's a very interesting passage in the pyramid texts, which talk a lot about Osiris and Isis. But this one particular text says that the Egyptians, when Osiris died, when he was killed, that they preserved his efflux, bodily fluid. That could be blood, could be semen. I think it's the latter, because that contains the complete genome. Do you remember a few years ago when Egyptologists said that they found the tomb of Osiris?
Yes.
Yeah, so they got down there and they found this casket, but it was empty. How do we know whether or not it was really empty, or whether they got down there, understood what they had found, and emptied it out before they brought the cameras down? I don't know if somebody has already found this, but if and when they do, that opens the gate. There is going to be a dark resurrection, and most Christians have no idea. So what I try to show is that this person has already lived. Satan has already used him. He was already the greatest king of Babylon, the greatest king that ever lived. And he will be returning again in the end times. So we're completely unprepared for this dark resurrection to happen, which is why the whole world, Revelation says, will wonder after this beast.
How will we be able to tell? I mean, is it going to be born as an infant, and then we have to wait 30 years because he's going to be a false Messiah?
You know, everything Satan does is a mimicry of things that God has done, and so I would suspect that he will bring his Messiah, his false Messiah, into the world as a baby and have him grow up, because I think he's going to try and fulfill, or pretend like he's the fulfillment of a lot of the prophecies in the scriptures about the Messiah, that his reconstructed genetic material might be placed in a virgin, might have already been placed in a virgin, and that it is undergoing the process of growing right now, and then we'll have to wait for a while to see whether or not he shows up. And the Jewish people were clearly told in Scripture are going to be fooled by this. They're going to think that this guy is the Messiah, and they're going to enter into a covenant with him, and then later on will be sorely displeased when he breaks that covenant and tramples them down, takes them away as slaves, and only then will the true Messiah show back up and all of Israel will repent. Let me just say, the occult has been aware of this and planning on bringing him back for thousands of years. And so I dedicate chapters in the book to showing that that is the case, and they know it, and they're looking forward to that day that he can be brought back.
This is a long exploration, frankly. It's going to take some time to elaborate, but there are, basically the Eyes Wide Shut sex parties are real. These things take place. They do have these crystal skull type of things that they, like in the Indiana Jones film, they have a crystal skull. They have these type of skulls they set up at the parties, and they feed the energy into those skulls.
We're both in Skull and Bones, the secret society. It's so secret we can't talk about it. What does that mean for America? The conspiracy theorists are going to go on. I'm sure they are. I don't know. I haven't seen the red. Number 322. First of all, he's not the nominee, and look, I look for. Are you prepared to lose? No, I'm not going to lose. You both were members of Skull and Bones, a secret society at Yale. What does that tell us? Not much, because it's a secret. Is there a secret handshake? Is there a secret code? I wish there were something secret I could manifest. 322, secret number? There are all kinds of secrets, Tim, but one thing is not a secret. I disagree with this president's direction that he's taking the country. We can do a better job, and I intend to do it. And we'll be watching. Be safe on the campaign trail. John Kerry, thanks for joining us. And we'll be right back.
Without making a mistake. Look at the letter at the end and remember the sound it makes. Get ready. Kite. Yes, kite. Get ready to read this word the fast way. Get ready. Kid. Yes, kid. Sound it out. Get ready. Sound it out. Get ready. What word? Yes, kit. Boys and girls, sound this word out. Get ready. What word? Yes, steal. Read these words the fast way. Get ready. Yes, playing. Get ready. Yes, must. Let's read these words the fast way without making a mistake. Get ready. Yes, kite. Get ready. Yes, kit. Get ready. Yes, steal. Get ready. Yes, playing. Get ready. Yes, must. Boys and girls, pick your reader up from under your seat. Open your book up to lesson 60 on page 153. At the count of 3, everyone should be on page 153. If the yellow paper is marked Bob, you drop it. Thank you. Everybody touch the title of your story. Fingers under the title. Get ready to read the title, The Fast Way. We're waiting for one member. Thank you. Fingers under the title of the story. Get ready. Yes, dove, cat, go. Fingers under the first word of the story. Get ready to read the story the fast way. Get ready. Go on. Go on. Try it again. Get ready from the beginning of that sentence. Get ready. Go on. Good job. Go on. Let's clean that up. Get ready. Try it with but. Get ready. Go on. Go on. Try that again. Get ready. Good job. Go on. Go on. Try that again. Get ready. Good job. Go on. What's behind the word said? And what does that comma mean? Let's read that sentence again. Get ready. Go on.
So that morning, being down here now, as different as it looks, I still have those visuals, those images in my mind, in my head. We're on, as a nation, officially now, suicide bombers. It happens in Israel on a daily basis. Those are the things we have to be careful of now, we have to watch for now.
Do you expect suicide bomb plane struck the North Tower of the World Trade Center 1 year ago? Hundreds of people have gathered here at Ground Zero to mark the anniversary in what is expected to be, we tell you that the anniversary ceremony will also include several moments of silence, marking the times that the hijacked jets place roses on the site for a flower arrangement that will be turned into.
But the reason for the Iraqi war, the one that most people were, familiar with, obviously, and the Congress was told, that was superficial. The real story, and Tom, I'm going to give it right back to you, is what they were looking for. They were looking for a certain piece, if you will, the key, maybe one of the literal keys that would grant to them the technology of the ancients, and it was a fight behind the scenes between the special forces community of major countries to get a hold of some of these artifacts. Now, that sounds like something out of Hollywood, but remember this, Hollywood gets its cues from the intelligence community, and the reason they leak this information into the mainstream via science fiction is to pre-program you to the point where you dismiss it as just, quote, fiction, but then it's deep in your subconscious when they're ready to release the truth. They trigger and I don't understand all of the mind control techniques, but consider it a reserve data appropriate time and know how to activate the belief section or the beliefs section of your brain. So Tom, go ahead and share on Iraq, because I think that's fascinating. I was privy in the background, Doug, meaning in real time, to what was going on to that. That may sound mysterious, but I'm not trying to be, baiting anybody, but I was. And the fact that the fight and the war was on for those artifacts and for DNA, and I think this is where it's going to get really fascinating. So
why am I mentioning that? Because one of the things that we're giving away is the never before available. It's not available anywhere right now. It's the brand new 8-hour audio version of the book Ahriman Gate, which actually kind of plays off of what was going on in the Iraq War, and the fact, Steve, that they were indeed looking for the key. They had found the location, but they didn't have the key, and that's what they were looking for. And actually, that's what the book Ahriman Gate is really all about. Although it's a novel, and it goes, into the whole thing about the finding of intact DNA and a book of life code and the recreation of Nephilim and UFOs and all that stuff. It's a novel, but it was actually spurred by this idea of why were we going into Iraq? And so I'm glad you asked me to say this, Doug, because I actually had a real experience around this. And here's the thing. Steve's mentioning that they went there to find the key. They went there to find something related to portals, mystical doorways. So the idea that the United States had invaded Iraq to capture something that Saddam Hussein had uncovered during his reconstruction of ancient Babylon. People don't know the depth of the literally hundreds of millions of dollars that he was spending in excavation, what he was looking for, the fact that he intended to rebuild ancient Babylon, but the fact that he found things that the world is not aware of sounds too strange to be true. But so I was on Coast to Coast AM with George Norrie. This was right during the Gulf War. And so the big question on everybody's mind at that time was, why did the United States go in to Iraq? Why was George Bush so stubbornly resolved to take the United States into Iraq, ancient Babylon, even though Iraq had not been connected with any good intelligence to the events of September 11, 2001? And so I went on coast to coast. I'm talking about something else, but this question comes up, and something very strange happened. George asked me why I thought that the United States had gone into Iraq, and so I was making these various points. I was saying that some people believed that the invasion had something to do with creating a strategic placement of U.S. military resources against what the administration saw as a growing threat from Islamic radicals, which we can see in the Islamic nation today. Some people said, that that's why we went there. I said that other people believed that it was an effort to seize and maintain control of Iraq oil reserves, and of course the Bush family are heavily invested in oil, so that might have been a reason. I pointed out that there were those who believed that 911 was actually either a convenient or an orchestrated false flag. A lot of people out there were saying that would allow the Bush administration to extend like a global domination project presence. But so I was just throwing out all these various ideas, and I'm on here, and I'm late night, 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. Then I suggest that there's another reason, more esoteric, and it had to do with biblical sites in Babylon, which had been uncovered during Saddam Hussein's reconstruction of the ancient city, and that he may have uncovered something that the U.S. administration wanted. They went there to capture it. And so we went on and we did our show. I finished the show with Norrie. It's probably 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, my time, and I'm going to go to bed, but I'm sitting in my office, so I go to check my email before I go to bed, and here I have an email, and this person is saying that they are, now get this, they're saying they are the curator of the National Museum of Iraq, the Baghdad Museum that contains all these relics from the Babylonian Mesopotamian civilization, saying that they had been listening to the radio show, and they wanted to tell me something. So I opened the email. This person claims that my last idea, the fact that the
U.S. had gone there to capture something that Saddam Hussein had uncovered in all of his excavation work, that was spot on. So here's the deal. The emailer, they give me a temporary password to the museum's digital back door because they want me to see what they're calling proof that what I had said was not in fact a conspiracy, that in fact it was true. So the first thing I do is I verify the email that it's actually from, the IraqMuseum.com, and it was. Then I go to make sure that the hidden back page is actually an extension. I actually went to Google or Yahoo, and I looked up the museum, went to it, and then used the extension to make sure that I wasn't, somebody wasn't pulling some kind of an elaborate trick on me. And I confirmed that in fact was true. And it pops up this little thing on the page. It wants me to enter in my temporary password and log in, which I do, which this person gave me. And I got to tell you, I could not believe. This page opens up, and there are literally hundreds and hundreds of step-by-step images of the first day of the invasion of U.S. forces, the very first day of the Iraq invasion. Where do we go? We went directly to the museum, the Baghdad Museum.
The images you are seeing on television, you are seeing over and over and over, and it's the same picture of some person walking out of some building with a vase, and you see it 20 times. And you think, my goodness, were there that many vases? Is it possible that there were that many vases in the whole country?
During and after the 2003 U.S. invasion of Iraq, looters raided the country's government offices and also seized ancient artifacts from Iraq's museums. The museums were also vandalized after the 1991 Gulf War. And it is not known how many of Iraq's antiquities have been stolen from the country's archaeological sites. But on Monday, Iraq reclaimed a portion of its lost culture. In a ceremony at Iraq's embassy in Washington, Ambassador Samir Sumaidai took possession of more than 1,000 rare objects. Many date back to Mesopotamian times, more than 4,000 years ago.
These items really...
Julie Myers is head of U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement.
It's a very high honor on behalf of the people of the United States of America to be able to formally return over 1,000 artifacts back to the people of Iraq. After a long and treacherous journey, in many cases, they are finally being returned home. These items are much more than souvenirs or art objects, even though that's somehow what the people who tried to profit from them treated them. These are part of Iraq's priceless history.
Some of the objects, including ceramic pieces and figurines, were displayed on a table at the embassy. One piece, a copper statue, came from a southern Iraq temple dedicated to a king who ruled the region during the 24th century BC. Writing on the statue caught the eye of antiquities expert John Russell from the Massachusetts College of Art.
It says that the temple was for Inanna, the goddess of love and war, and it says that this particular statue is his personal deity, who is to pray for him in perpetuity, so that's why the statue has its arms folded like that. It is completely irreplaceable. It's a unique object.
The pieces were seized from smugglers who misrepresented their country of origin to U.S. customs officials. Many would have been put up for sale had they not been intercepted. Remnants of ancient tablets seized by the U.S. Customs Service in 2001 were salvaged from the ruins of the World Trade Center after the September 11th attacks. Before taking possession, Ambassador Sumaidai thanked U.S. officials.
We are retrieving some of the treasures of our ancestors. For this we thank the American government, and this is not only something that's important for Iraq. It is really a record of the beginnings of civilization for humanity.
The objects will be shipped to Baghdad and entrusted to its Antiquities Museum. Michael